Why do teams continue to trade away their future on a gamble that very rarely works and making their teams and fans suffer for years? Over and over again, we see this happen. Let's go on about today's rant. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, Bazooka Joe family. It is great seeing you guys. Today is our weekly rant, and today we have a subject that has been a problem over and over again for years. And you know what? It seems like it really only happens in football. In what other sport do teams trade away years and years of their future in the sport where that is the hardest hitting sport, where people are repeatedly injured and many times they lose the gamble even when those players aren't hurt? I don't know why it seems so difficult to figure this out. And if any of you teams are hiring, hey, I'm taking interviews to help you figure out the problems. But repeatedly, over and over again, we see franchises trading away their entire future on a gamble that has shown time in and time out very rarely works. Guys, there's no magic formula. The scouts can't figure it out. Scouts and teams have been trying to figure out the magic formula to figure out how the Heisman Trophy winners and the superstars in college, which ones of them are going to turn out to be the superstars of tomorrow. And time in and time out, it just doesn't work. It's really a crapshoot. And yet teams that's not, and not only just for prospect, for signing seasoned veterans who are looking for better money and new teams and cost the franchise years of hardship. Lesson number one: when you're going for a new quarterback, whether it be in the draft or signing a veteran, can't trade away your future drafts and your weapons at the same time. Carolina, guys, when you, even if you hit a home run with your prospect, you trade away all of your draft picks to get this. You have to have a team that is going to make him successful. Here's the biggest thing: if you trade away your future draft picks, you can't have a team with no weapons on it. So when you trade away 3 years of your top drafts and put a guy in a situation where you've also traded away all of his weapons, in order to get Bryce Young, the Panthers traded away 3 years of draft picks and DJ Moore, and then right after that they traded McCaffrey away. So you took your two biggest weapons, lost a couple of your decent weapons. So now, if you are doing this where you have a veteran quarterback for another 2 or 3 years and you're going to take that he can take under his wing and train and prepare, then maybe this might work if you have a 2 or 3 year plan. But if you're going to take a prospect fresh out of college and throw him in the fire, he's going to have a superstar team in order to succeed. That very, 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 it's not going to happen. You're not going to take a college kid fresh out of college, give him a team with no superstars on it, and expect him to be able to succeed. It's not going to happen. So did Carolina break Bryce Young? I guess we'll never know. But one thing's for sure: Carolina's a crap show. They traded away all their future drafts. They traded away all of their superstars. And now they've been a crap show for 2 years, and it's going to take them years to rebuild. And I don't even see it happening. Like, it's insane what they did. Time has proven, time and time again, you can't calculate which one of these quarterbacks are going to turn out to be Hall of Famer and superstars and which ones are going to be complete flops. Take a look at Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. Colts almost picked Ryan Leaf. Luckily for them, he didn't show up to his interview. There's a perfect example of Ryan Leaf, I don't even, technically lasted a little over a year, and Peyton Manning, who won 2 Super Bowls and had one of the best careers in history. Time and time again, let's look at One of the perfect examples is the 2020 draft. The 2020 draft is a draft that will probably never happen again. We've got 5 starting quarterbacks out of 32 teams from the 2020 draft. And let's look at the results. Joe Burrow is one of the few drafts where they actually took a number 1 pick, NFC Championship multiple times, made it to the Super Bowl. But let's look at the other top draft. Justin Herbert. Okay, definitely a superstar, super quality quarterback. Hasn't even made it to the NFC Championship. Tua, another superstar quarterback. You know, they've set records. Great team. Never even made it to the championship. Burrow was taken first. Herbert 6th. Tua 5th. Jordan Love. He's turning out to be a very, very good quality quarterback. It's kind of early on. It's only his second year, but there's a very good chance that he's going to be a long-term superstar. He was taken 26th. And the last starting quarterback taken 53rd in the second round, almost the very end of the second round, is the only other quarterback that's made it to the Super Bowl, and that would be Jalen Hurts. So, again, these teams even got lucky and got superstar quality quarterbacks. But it's the 53rd one that made it. It's the 53rd pick that made it to the Super Bowl, other than that one first round. Again, other picks. How about Brett Favre? Brett Favre was a second round pick. He was picked by the Atlanta Falcons, and guess what? Coach didn't like him. He put it in one game. When he put him in the game, he took out all the superstars. He got 4 passes through 2 interceptions out of those 4 passes, and they traded him away. Iron Man of football, most consecutive games out of anybody, and obviously a Hall of Famer. How's about the latest pick that turned out to be the GOAT? Tom Brady. Tom Brady was picked at the end of the 6th round, the 199th pick. Right. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. He was a first rounder, but he was the 32nd pick. He was literally the last pick in the first round. Every single team passed up on him, except for the Ravens. So it just goes to show it's definitely worth using up a pick on a quarterback. It is not worth trading your entire future away on a gamble that so rarely pays out. If you got to give up a little bit to trade up, that's one thing. The Vikings are a good example. The Vikings gave up, a 3rd round pick to trade up one spot to get McCarthy. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but that's an example. And again, he's got a long time to prove himself. Ended up getting hurt. Unfortunately, it's a first round pick that's wasted for the year. But again, it's just another example of how bad things can go. But again, the Vikings didn't give up much. They gave up like a 3rd round pick to trade up just one spot. And they're not suffering for it. They actually started the season 4-0. Now let's talk about trading your future away for existing veteran. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. The Broncos got Russell Wilson with a 2-year deal already. It was a pretty stinking good deal. Before he took one snap for the team, they gave him a 4-year extension, making it a 6-year deal for a quarterback already well into his 30s, and it was a 4-year extension for a total of $161 million. And he played 2 years. It was a horrible result. It turned out so badly they dropped him. Now the Broncos, for the next 4 years, are paying him to win games for the Steelers. The Steelers have given him a minimum contract, and the Broncos are paying for him to win for somebody else. Deshaun Watson, went to the Browns, guaranteed 5 years, $230 million. Guaranteed. Why do we keep giving the superstars guaranteed money? I understand that a superstar is not going to sign, at least for some amount of guaranteed money. That way, if they get hurt, their future is guaranteed. But I'm telling you right now, if these guys that you feel you need in order to secure the future of your franchise needs all guaranteed money, they are not confident that they are your future. If they are that confident that they can deliver for all those years, they won't need that much guaranteed money. Yes, superstars are going to need a certain amount of guaranteed money. That way, if they get a serious injury, they're not going to lose their houses and stuff. But when they want these fully guaranteed deals, they are not confident that they're their future. And I'll tell you what, every single one of them, almost every single one of them that got all these guaranteed money, ended up flopping. And I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, but I'm telling you right now, in that head, when they know they got to work for that money, when they know they need that stats to get that guaranteed money, even if it's just that little bit extra effort, that extra bit of thought, they're going to put that little bit extra in that's going to make that difference. Once they got the guaranteed money, that little bit, and like I said, I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, but it's like everything else. When you really, really want something, you're going to put everything into everything you do. But when you already got that guaranteed money, you know you got it pretty much to the end of your career, it's just that little bit extra of mental that makes that difference. And like I said, both Watson and Wilson are going to be getting an average of 46 to 48 million for all these years, which is right on track for what Mahomes, Allen, and Kyler Murray are getting. And it's just slightly behind what like Hurts and Lamar are getting. So in order to, you guys are trying to give them this guaranteed money up front to try to save a few million in the future. Like they gave them $46 to $48 million guaranteed to try, so that way in a few years you can save the extra $4 to $5 million extra they would have had to pay them if they were as good as all these other players. Now, Watson, granted, he's technically out right now due to a serious season-ending injury, which, oh, by the way, okay, first year you didn't have him because he was suspended for almost the entire season. Second season, you didn't have him because he was hurt the entire season. And the third year, you didn't have him because he was hurt the entire season. But it was more than likely he was getting benched. The entire stadium was screaming to bench the guy. They were yelling to bench him. And you shouldn't cheer when somebody gets very seriously injured. There's nothing but that. But I mean, that's how bad they were in the benched. And how bad was the team? Winston, who hasn't started a game in 2 or 3 years, came in and beat the Ravens with the same team. So, is it Watson or is it the team? Why take such a huge gamble that does not pay off repeatedly over and over and over again? That's going to make you suffer for 3, 4, 5 years. Like, I don't understand how you take Russell Wilson, who you have a guaranteed 2 years on, take a $50 million gamble and end up losing. Now, those 4 years, you're screwed. So, the Broncos, tell you what, Broncos got lucky. They managed to pick up Bo Nix. So, hopefully it's going to make up for it. The Broncos were a crap show. I mean, my goodness, like, they suffered so badly, and they couldn't afford anybody else. So, again, the lesson is take lesser chances, save the money, spend the money on guaranteed players for shorter deals. And that's the biggest thing. Like, if they won't take it, then don't gamble the next 5 years of your franchise on it. 90% of the... How many times have these deals... There's only one circumstance where it's worth gambling a couple years of your future. And I'm not talking about devastating it. I'm about to bring up one of the very, very few perfect examples where this has worked, which has turned out to be one of the greatest trades where it worked out for both teams in NFL history. And I am talking about the Matt Stafford Jared Goff trade. The only time, the only circumstance where it is worth trading your future away for a quarterback is when it's that season where you're sure, you are positive you've got that team that is going to make and win the Super Bowl. And again, they didn't trade away their draft picks and their weapons. They just traded away a couple years draft. They didn't give away the whole pot. They gave away, I think, 2 years of like good quality level drafts, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. And then what happened with the Lions? After 2 years, Jared Goff took the Lions to the first time. Lions have been around for decades. Went the first time they ever went to the NFC Championship. That was one of the best trades for. But so the Lions used those extra draft picks to build the team they needed to get the championship. Granted, they didn't make the Super Bowl, but in just a few years, they went from an 0-16 team to the NFC Championship, and the Rams went to the Super Bowl. The only time that it's worth it, the trade, a couple years of your team away. And like I said, the Rams weren't horrible. They traded away a couple years of draft picks. They were over the cap, so they had to trade away, but they still kept a good, solid, quality team that was competing for the playoffs for a couple years. That was honestly one of the best even trades that completely helped both teams. It gave both teams had a quality quarterback, and most importantly, they both had a superstar quality quarterback. But a lot of times, your quarterback just isn't made for the way your team is built, and it worked out great for both teams. So, again, I don't know why, and it seems like it's the same teams that do it over and over again. A couple of other examples, I'm going to mention the Patriots. The Patriots are 2-6 right now. They're a horrible, horrible team, but at least they have a plan. The Patriots are one of the few teams who just things haven't worked out, but they've kept the salary cap, they've kept their drafts. So now, when a team goes through it, when you're trying to rebuild and it doesn't work out, well, now you can still rebuild next year. Sometimes things are going to go bad, but if you've traded away everything, if you guaranteed the players don't work out, now you're screwed for 4, 5, 6 years. The Patriots are having a horrible year. They still got the cap space. Since the way the draft is supposed to work is when you have a horrible season, you get all the top drafts. And that way you get your pick at the best players. If you give away your draft picks and you have a horrible year, now what are you supposed to do? Now you're screwed for another 2 or 3 years. The Patriots are a good example. They had a plan. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but now they still can rebuild quickly. For the history of football, the entire history of football, on average, you've got about 10 superstar quarterbacks who play for 10 to 15 years. Then you've got 12 to 16, very good quality quarterbacks who are going to be, starting quarterbacks for 10 to 15 years. And then you got 4, 5, 6 teams that are rebuilding and just sign whatever quarterback's available. So, on average, you've got a superstar quarterback that is a shoo-in Hall of Famer that's going to take you to a Super Bowl win that comes out once every 3 years. So, because you figure they're playing 10 or 15 years, and you got 10 at a time. So, why in the world do we gamble our future away when 80% of the time you just end up washing your team out for years? And take the time, get the quality players, and that way, if what you have doesn't work out, in a year or two, you can take the money that you saved and hire the superstar. Look at Cousins. You always got quality quarterback like Cousins who are going to take the highest money. And so, all right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Hey, those thumbs up. The thumbs up really, really help out the channel. And not just for our channel, for every channel out there. Every time you give a thumbs up, every comment, every subscriber really helps the channels that you like get more viewers, get shown, and that way they can continue the content. So please give the thumbs up. Let us know down in the comments what you want our rants to be about. This channel is all about you guys. So if you let us know what you want to see, we will make sure we make that a priority. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week.